Hello, I'm Edmodo and welcome to a short guide to technology in the classroom. This is part 2 of our guide to Edmodo, and in this section I'm going to try to quickly give an outline of some of the other advantages that using Edmodo can provide you and your class. So one thing you can use it for is setting polls, and in this case I've sent it to 3 different classes and given them the option. I didn't make them do it, I didn't set it for a homework, but I just asked them the question, which you can see there. And well, it's for another video, but it's quite interesting, the results, when you look at them. I didn't expect it. Here is the screen to show you just how easy it is to set the poll. You click on poll, you type in your question, you give some answers. You can add, if you wanted to have 5 or 6 different possibilities, and then you decide down here which classes you want to send it to, and it sends, and as soon as anybody votes you can see the results. Of course, you don't have to set it strictly as a poll. In this case I've just written as a post on the wall to the classes, to these ones up here, and asked them what kind of activities they learn from the most in lessons, and you can see their responses down here. It can be a really powerful tool for helping you to decide where your teaching should go next and what to include in lessons. So this feature can be particularly useful. Down the right hand side of your page you get this, which tells you what activities been going on in your classes. Now this particular week I've set my Year 10 class the task of revising for a big assessment, a big end of topic assessment on Thursday, and I can see that this lad and 2 others, if I were to click on there I'd be able to see, has been looking at how to answer the questions and looking at some tips. He's obviously preparing, and he's very prepared because it's only Tuesday. Also I can see another lad down here has been doing this. This is somebody who's handed in their homework, so you can keep an eye on who's doing their homework extremely late at night. If anybody's handing it in the morning rushed, you can see exactly when it's been handed in to you for homework. But if you were to say set a homework to read something that you've stuck on Edmodo, you can see who has and you can see who hasn't. And you can see who has and who hasn't before the lesson without having to hold any type of investigation. So this particular class I teach on a Thursday, and one day before the lesson I was thinking of, probably on a weekend, thinking about what I could set them to do as a task, and I remembered a really good exercise that you can do using some cards, but I'd forgotten to tell them, and I'm not going to see them all together at once, so I just simply put the message on Edmodo, and they brought some cards to the lesson and we could do the task. So it's useful in that sense as well. You can also set a quiz. You can set quizzes so that they mark themselves. The problem with that is the student has to spell everything absolutely perfectly for it to mark it correctly. So that's not always ideal, but you can set quizzes that you can then quickly have a look through and mark yourself. Now down this side and just off the screen you can see a list of the students and the scores that they get, and it all goes into the sort of spreadsheet file that I showed you on part 1. Over here you can see a breakdown of what the students did so well and what they didn't. I can see from question 5 that they're struggling to know what laissez-faire is, and you can also see up here which students performed particularly well. Now this quiz was only out of 6, but say if I produced a big end of topic quiz, 20 marks, this high score thing would be really useful to see who gets to the top, and you can also have a look and see who's lower down the scale. Another advantage of Edmodo is you can communicate with the students. You can see 2 minutes ago, so during making this video, a student's just asked me how they get onto the videos. They're obviously not sure. Edmodo's changed around a little bit, a new version since I taught them all through it at the start of the year. So I just tell them, just now I've given an answer, and then this student can then access the homework, as opposed to them turning up to the lesson and saying, I couldn't do the homework, sir. Well, you don't get any of that because I can reply. Now of course that isn't for everybody. It could be seen as a disadvantage that students can contact you. I've got it set up so that I get an alert on my iPad if a student sends me a message on Edmodo, and I would estimate that that probably happens on average once, maybe twice in a whole week. And I don't get very many students coming and saying, "Sir, I can't do my homework," or "I couldn't do my homework," because they know full well that they can ask if they are stuck. So this is the screen that student was trying to access. This is the folders section, and I've organised different resources into different categories down here. If they click on this one, they'll see a series of videos on how to answer the questions from that paper. If they click on this folder, well, they'll see a series of videos of what they've done in class, some videos that I've created myself, and also a booklet full of information about the topic. And here are sets of work that the students created themselves, and I chose some of the best examples and uploaded it onto the site so that they could have a look at, perhaps when they were revising or maybe they were doing a homework. And it's just, rather than them having to remember by reading, they can look at some work that they've done, and perhaps that memory, that link, might be a little bit stronger. And this is what they can see in the US subject knowledge section. So there's a silly video that I've made. There's a video of some answers that the students gave. This is just me wandering around the class, videoing so they can remember what they did when they learnt about mass production, and they had to explain it in this video. And there's another little silly video that I've made using this same program, Explain Everything. So I hope it's clear to see that I use Edmodo as an organisational tool as well, to record the things that we've done, to keep them there, and so that pupils can then access them at a later date. There are other features to Edmodo, but I'll leave you to explore them for yourself. What I will make clear is that I cannot overstate the impact that Edmodo has had on my teaching, my planning, the way that I communicate with the students and they communicate with me, but perhaps more importantly, going back to part 1, if you've watched that one, my marking. It has had a significant impact on the amount of feedback I can provide, and it's all stored in one place. Everything is in that one place. I would really recommend that you use Edmodo, and the more teachers in a certain school that use it, the more effective it will become.